I like broccoli, broccoli. Broccoli, broccoli.
I like broccoli, broccoli's nice. I eat my broccoli with a side of rice. I eat it twice, I eat it thrice. Freeze that broccoli, blanch then ice. I can make a little, I can make a lot. I give broccoli everything I got. I like it hot, I like it crunchy. I grab some broccoli when I'm feeling munchy. Vitamin C, more than an orange. Add it to oats, make a savory porridge. Save it for later, broccoli storage. Broccoli house, broccoli mortgage. Kids don't think that broccoli's whack. Kids are packing broccoli snacks.
Broccoli.
Broccoli. Veggie wraps. Oh yeah, I'm a broccoli fiend. I cook it till it's a perfect green. Garlic and oil, saute or steam. I like that it looks like a little tree. I eat the leaves, they give me power. Broccoli heads are unbloomed flowers. Kale and Brussels, what's the difference? All these veggies so cruciferous. Broccoli. Broccoli. Veggie wraps. Broccoli. Broccoli. Veggie wraps. Going hard for chard. Grow this hardy biennial in your backyard. I got bars for chard, went hard at the farm, got a carload of chard. The flavor don't miss from the coast of Spain, but we call it Swiss. This chard is healthy, it gives me bliss. Swiss chard like beets when it's just the tips. Can you hear chard talk? I'm invested in chard, I'm holding stocks. Food is free, grow chard in the park. Plant that seed and watch the chard spark. Wow, it's the colors of the rainbow. White, red, orange, pink, and yellow. Vitamins E, K, C, and A, yo. Potassium, magnesium is good for your brain though. So in the spring, lo and behold, all the chard you bring. Harvest chard from the outer leaf, leave a few inches and let it breathe. The issues are minor, but you might see some blotch leaf miners. Little fly larvae be feasting at the diner. Neem oil before they create an empire. The garden you guarding, look at the life that you took part in starting. Throw a chard party, go on, get potting. Write a chard song, be top charting.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us again for the virtual variety showcase put on by the Culinary Breeding Network and Organic Seed Alliance. We're excited to have you here today. This is Monday, June 6th, and we have programming tomorrow, the 7th and the 8th. Some of you are joining us live on YouTube. Welcome. Please chat in any of your questions or comments that you might have into the chat in YouTube, and we will review them when we're done with the presentation that Gina is going to give us today. And I am going to have Jared, who is joining us from Arcata, California. Jared Zystro from Organic Seed Alliance is here with us today. He's the Research and Education Program Director and has personal relationships with many of our speakers for this event. And I want to mention also that the event is sponsored and funded by the California Specialty Block Specialty Crops Block Program Grant, which is a very awkward thing to say, but we have a grant from them that is supporting this work today. We have Abba Kaiser, who is our tech support person, who is coming in with us 9 hours ahead in France. Thank you so much, Abba. This is not possible without you. So Jared is going to go ahead and introduce our speaker that we have today. And just grateful for everyone for tuning in and all the work that Gina and other seed folks in California are doing for us. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Lane. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's tuning in today. Really happy to get to introduce our next seed grower and speaker, Gina. As you'll see pretty soon in this video, Gina Covina has been a seed saver for many years and a seed grower and producer, first on a smaller scale and now on a larger scale through her and her partner Soren's seed company, Open Circle Seeds. Open Circle Seeds is based in Potter Valley, California, which is a valley that has a kind of used to be a seed producing area for watermelon seeds. It has a short growing season, high summertime temperatures, and has recently been the front lines of wildfires. And Open Circle Seeds has really been able to take advantage of both those climate challenges and the seed growing history of the valley by identifying unique, delicious, and reliable varieties through their variety trials, and then by producing high quality open pollinated seed. Gina has, and Soren at Open Circle Seeds, they take pride in growing the seeds that they sell and selling the seeds that they grow. And I've had the pleasure of knowing both of them for a while now and seeing the wonderful work they do. And I'm thrilled to get that the rest of you are going to get to hear a little bit about it. So let's turn off our videos and watch this presentation together.
Hi, I'm Gina Covina of Open Circle Seeds here in Potter Valley, Mendocino County, California. And I will start by telling you just kind of how I started with seed growing. I was an out-of-control home gardener for years. I was living in Laytonville, which is also Northern California, on a 10-acre property that had 3 separated gardens that were separated by woodlots, so I could grow different things that might cross in all 3 of those areas. And I got really kind of crazy about it, growing a lot. And I also was really an addict with seed catalogs, and went through all the seed catalogs I could find every winter. It's my favorite reading. And so I got interested in rare kinds of heirloom varieties and whatever I could find. And so I was trying those things, and a lot of times I couldn't find the seeds again. And so that led me to start thinking about saving seeds. One of the first things I saved, other than like the things that everybody saves, like arugula or calendula, things that save themselves, was a big rainbow tomato, which is a big stripy yellow and orange beefsteak heirloom. And everything I had read indicated that tomatoes were self-pollinating. I saved the seeds and I grew them out the next year. And the next year, the tomatoes I got from those seeds were the size of cherry tomatoes and tasted like cardboard. So that really got my interest more. I thought, well, what happened here? Then after digging around, I discovered that common wisdom about self-pollinating tomatoes was based on a 1950s university study that concluded that tomatoes were self-pollinating after growing them in the most up-to-date methods of the day, which were using pesticides. So, of course, they couldn't cross-pollinate. Anyway, so that made me even more intrigued, and I started to find out everything I could. I discovered Organic Seed Alliance and found them to be a great resource with the most up-to-date information that I could find. I took classes from John Navazio and then later from Jared Zystro and Steve Peters through Organic Seed Alliance, and gained the confidence from that to do more at home. And pretty soon I had way more seeds of varieties that I really loved and was very enthusiastic about, way more than I could give away at local seed swaps. So being an entrepreneurial sort, I started selling them. I started a little packet business. The place I was living was called Laughing Frog Farm. I called it Laughing Frog Seeds. And I determined right at the outset that I would sell seeds only of what I grew, and that I would sell seeds only of varieties that I really loved, that I found to be really vigorous, really productive, and especially really delicious. And I wouldn't care if I wouldn't try to cover all the bases of all the different vegetables. I would just do what did the best for me and what I really loved. So I carried on that way for a number of years and kept learning. And then in 2016, 2015, moved to Potter Valley to this actual farm. And that also I brought in Soren, who is an actual farmer, and we teamed up to do this, and that changed everything. So Soren has had 20 some years experience as an organic vegetable farmer, and also running, doing wholesale, retail, farmers markets, CSAs, all kinds of sales. I had the little seed packet business, and I had been really excited about doing variety trials in my gardens, and I would do like 6 plants of a variety. And when I got together with Soren, she said, "Oh, no. Her minimum was a 100-foot row of each variety." So that changed our scope a lot, and we were able to get a lot more information by doing those kind of variety trials. It's been a really great thing to do. So she's basically the farmer. I'm deal with the seeds after they're grown. We both decide what we're going to grow. At this point, we do some of what we do is growing seed on contract for other seed companies, and then we have a website. I changed the name of the company from Laughing Frog to Open Circle Seeds when we moved here. And so we do that, and I also have racks in local stores in Northern California. So just a little bit more about what we do here is we still keep the same focus on only selling what we grow here, and we still grow for seed varieties that are really productive, really vigorous, and really delicious. That's the criteria, and we've stuck with that. This is one of the reasons we do a lot of variety trials, is to identify those things. We've gone from, I think when we moved here, I had maybe 30 varieties that I was stewarding and selling, and now we have maybe 200. We're not always selling all that many at once, but we have about 150 that are current all the time. Potter Valley is a little agricultural valley in Northern California that is the headwaters of the Russian River. It has deep soils that are heavy but really rich. It turns out that Potter Valley is a perfect place for finding really vigorous and resilient varieties, because we tend to have a really short growing season. Last year, for instance, we had a hard frost in late May and then another one a week into June. So, yeah, which it's different every year, but we never know. And also our soils we have a really high water table, and so usually we can't get into the field until late May or middle of June. We have, in addition to having this short season, we have really hot daytime temperatures that then drop 50 degrees every night. So things that like heat, like say melons, tend to not like the 50-degree drop at night. And so we've had that's part of what of our variety trailing has been, finding things that will really thrive with the extreme day-night changes. And also, it has been hotter every year, so we're really going for more heat-tolerant varieties too. And then we've had the smoke years. We had 2 years, 2018 and 19, that where we had wildfires really close on all sides of the valley, and where there was smoke cover for such a long time that it was like one of those years, the whole month of August, it was like really a deep overcast, and so that's been challenging too. Some plants are fine with it, and some really not. So we've been trying to find what is going to be the most resilient. We're finding that a lot of the really short season varieties that can take the day and night temperature differences can also just take more of the extremes that are happening in general and are more resilient. So, and people who are using our seeds in their home gardens are finding we're a lot of mountain locations and high elevations that have those day-night changes, and anywhere that has really short seasons, they're doing well with. Of winter squash, we really love Candy Roaster. The North Georgia Candy Roaster has been really vigorous and incredibly productive. I think it's pound for pound the most productive winter squash that you can grow. They're great, and they're also pretty darn tasty. So that one we've grown several times with real extremes. We grew it last year when last year we had heat that it was that really short season. But after the freeze in June, like the next 3 days later, it was over 100, and it was over 100 every day for 2 months. Then it never let up, and Candy Roaster was one of the things we grew in that, and it was fine. Didn't mind it at all. Where some other squash just really don't like it. Some of the winter squash, sweetmeat, for example, doesn't like that kind of condition. So some of the things we found are heirlooms, like that one is, or we've also really like sweet Reba acorn squash, and that's a more modern open pollinated variety that was bred to withstand various diseases, that most of which we don't really have here anyway. Like we don't really deal with mildew much, for instance, but that one has been really incredibly productive. And also we discovered it in a year when we did like it was the trial year of all time, 2018, when partly through the encouragement of Organic Seed Alliance, which had a grant that was able to pay us this little stipend for variety trials, we did like a dozen different variety trials, and one of them was acorn squash, and where we grew all the different acorn squash that we could find. I think we did one of the hybrids, I forget which one, the one that is the most commonly grown commercially, alongside a lot of different heirlooms and sweet Reba also. And sweet Reba was by far the best flavor of all of the acorn squash consistently, and it also was the best producer. Because Potter Valley has that history as a melon seed growing area, that has spurred us on, and we have been doing our part to bring that we've done several years running. We've done melon trials and watermelon trials, and we have tried. We've grown dozens of different melons and watermelons over the years, and so far, the number of melons that we continue to grow for seed is really small, because a lot of those melons don't really perform that well in the extremes that we have here. And I think that when Potter Valley was a melon seed growing area, the climate was a little more steady than it is now. Now it's not. But so we've in the watermelon realm, we really like early moonbeam, the little yellow icebox melon that I think Alan Kapuler dehybridized from Yellow Doll, and that is really like a little workhorse. It just produces so much, and it doesn't really care about the extremes of weather. Crimson Sweet, of course, is like the standard, big red watermelon, the sweetest, and that does really well here. And there's a few others that are less known that we've done well with, like Sweet Siberian, which we grow for seed and nobody buys it, but it is really good. It's just a little bit different, and I think a lot of times when people are buying for home gardening, they want something that they already know. It's a food they already know. So in the melon category, our absolute all-time favorite is Charlene, and that one is so the flavor it's everybody's favorite melon when they try it, and it grows really well here. It always does well. We've grown it in the smoke years. We've grown it in hot years. It is consistently really delicious. All of them are delicious. We know, because we've had to eat a lot of melons in order to save those seeds. Anyway. So there's that. We also, that's the favorite. We have a favorite cantaloupe, which is mountain honey, and that is also like by far the best tasting cantaloupe that we have found. And that we grew that one last year, and it was affected by the extreme ongoing heat. It just produced smaller melons, but they were still really good, but they were smaller. So it was affected by that, but I would still count that as among cantaloupes the very best. So that's that. Start with what you love. That's the most important thing. Start small. Do even pick one plant. Not one plant, but one variety. But do something that you've already grown and that you can grow well, and that you love to eat also. And if you have access to different sources of seed for that same variety, I would suggest starting by growing out some from different lots and from different strains, because you'll find that there are big differences in different strains. And if you can start with organically grown, that always gives you an evolutionary jump, because those seeds are from plants that have already adapted and taken into their genetic makeup the ability to deal with lower inputs and not having the chemical inputs. There are so many ways to be despairing and in the world now, but to know, I know for a fact that a lot of people are gardening more than ever. And that is a really great thing. That's a really great thing. No matter what they're growing, it's a really good thing. I'm very happy to be involved in bringing the plants to the people in any way I can. I feel like that's, on one level is a business, and we're like trying to do it responsibly. But on another level, I just listen to the plants and do what they tell me, and I am so happy because they want to thrive and go new places and try new things too, and so I'm really happy to be able to do that, to help them to do that.
Thank you, Gina. It's a great video. Thanks, Jared, for helping with that as well. I'll let you.
Yeah, Gina, yeah, it's really was a great opportunity to get to hear a little bit about your history and about the farm and the area there in Potter Valley. Watching the video and thinking about it, I guess one thing I was wondering about was, you're talking about kind of the unique climate and challenges of Potter Valley and how you've had to, trial things and find what, is able to make it there. Have there been any situations with where you just there are certain crops, like crop types, where you just tried but were never able to successfully grow them there?
Sure. Lots of them. We have trouble getting seed from brassicas because of the heat and the not being able to put them in until fairly late. So I have it's so wet in the winters usually that things just melt down if we try to plant brassicas in the fall and have them over winter. When I gardened before this farm in Laytonville, one of my favorites was Piracicaba broccoli, that Brazilian broccoli. And I could grow that there because I had raised beds in a kind of a permaculture style. I had trees nearby, so I didn't have long days of sun. It made a really different microclimate. And so I could do brassica seeds really easily. And they were great. And I have tried ever since moving here. Every year we try to grow Piracicaba for seed, and it so far has not yet made it. We have some in the ground right now, so we're still trying, and I'm sure we'll manage to get the temperatures requirements for it right one of these years, even if it's just by accident. So that's one thing. Some years, like last year, was very bad for tomato seed. We had very little because of the heat. That to have a 2-month stretch with over 100 every day, it was just too hot for the pollen to be viable. And that was true for a number of things last year. So that's sometimes an issue.
So Gina, I think thinking about you all out there, watching this video, some of you might be saving seeds on a garden scale and thinking about getting into growing seeds commercially. So Gina, I'm wondering for folks out there that have that might be kind of thinking through that process, like what are some of the things that really, I guess, you learned or I guess surprised you, or you might not have expected, like making the transition from garden scale seed saving to, growing seeds commercially, like, are there any things where you're like, boy, was way harder than I thought, or this, I would advise, someone making that leap to think hard about, this or that.
Well, there's the whole scaling up is a really different thing, and it requires real farming experience, and I would not have been able to do the scale we're at now at all without Soren's input, and she had already had that experience of successfully farming a lot of different vegetable crops and doing it organically. She just hadn't done the seed all the way through to seed part, but the growing experience, that's really crucial. So there's that. It's also been quite a learning curve in terms of cleaning seed. And that's, Organic Seed Alliance has been really helpful for us with that. We have we have some seed cleaning equipment that has come through Organic Seed Alliance that's really made a difference for us. That's something that was a limiting factor for a long time, because I could grow seeds, but there were certain things that I just could not get clean enough to be able to sell. So that's something to consider. So, yeah, Soren is off to the side here saying, go work on a farm. Take that, have that as experience. That experience is really important.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, understanding that the farm scale period, regardless of what crops you're growing, you're saying is an important first step. Yeah. You all are growing both kind of for on contract, and also doing, packeting your own seeds and selling them, online and on seed racks. Are you kind of happy with the balance of those different kind of aspects of your seed business? Like, is it nice to have all three of those, or is it something where you're like, well, we'd like to work towards just doing, contracts, for example?
No, I like having all of it, actually. We're doing a little less contract work than we were for a while, kind of narrowing it down to the companies that we really work well with. So there's that, and also the plants that we know we're pretty confident we can get a good crop. We've stopped doing seed contracts for things that are experimental for us that we don't really know, because often they're not working, especially as the climate continues to be really unreliable. There are just, it's riskier every year because of that. But a lot of things that we can try out on a smaller scale for our packet business, and then expand that some into contract sales if they do well. So that happens sometimes.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, we had a question that came in on YouTube. If I can interject that. Someone asked if you had any experience growing bell peppers in your area, and if so, what are some of your favorites? Let's see. We've done trials with different kinds of bell peppers, and we've found this is not a big surprise, I guess, but the old standby California Wonder has been really reliable for us. Also, Orange Bell has been good. It's been lately though, it's been too hot for a lot of bell peppers. They burn a lot, and the plants don't get as lush and big as they used to, because the summers are hotter. Do you have better luck with like the Italian roasting style, like the ones that kind of are underneath the canopy more?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah, we've done well with Tollies, with Jimmy Nardello, very, very, very productive for us.
Great.
I was thinking about, how this is being hosted by the Culinary Breeding Network, and I was wondering, Gina, have you had a chance to have much kind of interaction with any of the varieties you're growing seed of, like getting feedback from chefs or anything like that? Or have you been? I know Soren, has sold into lots of different markets over the years. Has that been something you kind of had any, like in your trials or in your tastings? Has that been part of your process?
It's something we would like, but we have not had that. We're pretty remote in Mendocino County. We're not near any big restaurant markets. The few Mendocino County restaurants that are would be interested in the kinds of things we do are really small, and it's not that's just not happening. We have worked with some chefs locally in the past, but yeah, we would like to do that more. It would be fun.
I guess another question I was thinking about related to the just the climate, and I know that it's, as you described quite well in the video, just all of the different challenges that you've faced over the years. Has it has that sort of affected, like, thinking forward into time? Are you thinking, like, okay, maybe there are certain crops we should put more emphasis on because we know that these are going to be, maybe more likely to be able to grow as the extremes get more extreme. Like, are there things you've kind of been scaling back and or scaling up over time?
So far, we have been just looking for varieties of a lot of different crops that will be more resilient as the times get tougher. Like, for instance, we had such a bad tomato year last year, and this year we're growing more tomatoes actually, because it's a different year, and I'm sure it'll have its own challenges, but you never know exactly what they'll be in advance. And so, since we're going for overall resilience, we try a lot of things more than once, and we are always just looking for different varieties that will produce over a greater range of challenging conditions.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, I mean, I know, between your, the seed racks and then your farmers market sales and the, selling starts, how often do you kind of, I think there's often maybe a feeling like, well, gardeners don't, a lot of gardeners may not really, think very hard about varieties, and they may not think very hard about, the quality of the seeds that they're getting. And if things go wrong, they're going to blame themselves rather than the seeds. Sometimes I hear that. But I guess, do you ever hear kind of the opposite, where for folks that have gotten, varieties that have been really, selected for these really challenging conditions, do you ever get people kind of coming back to you and saying, I just, never thought I could grow, XYZ crop. But now that, I tried some of your seeds or some of your starts, and turns out I, can grow them. Do you ever get that kind of feedback that through this selection process you've been doing, your people are able to grow things they hadn't before?
Yeah, we do get that. We get that a lot. And some of that is because we're selling, we have been going just during the starts season, we go to a farmer's market. So we have once a week actual interaction with our customers. And people are constantly coming back and telling us about how their plants are doing and how much they've grown, and showing us pictures. And so we're getting a lot of feedback that way. And also just from local customers in the areas where we sell starts. And a lot of people saying, oh, these are the best starts we've ever had. They grow so well. And I don't know, a lot of people seem to think it's just some, green thumb magic we have, and don't connect it to the particular varieties that they're getting from us. And so, there's that. However, we also have had like people who have, for instance, never been able to grow melons. Melons are kind of tricky in a lot of borderline places where it's not really hot enough, or the season is just too short. And we've had a lot of feedback from people who have been able to finally grow melons, and they're, of course, the best melons they've ever tasted, and they're ecstatic about it. So that happens a lot. Yeah.
We do have another question. The same person that asked about the bell peppers wants to now know your thoughts about eggplants, especially Italian types and Turkish varieties.
Yeah, they like heat. They're okay in the heat. We have the one that I really like the best of the Italian types is Listata di Gandia, and that's it's a stripy, purple and white striped, big egg-shaped one, and that has been just the most productive eggplant for us. I personally eat them, so I can't vouch for taste, but other people like them, and they've grown really well for us. So yeah, I think that they've pretty much, they haven't minded the cold nights. The ones that we've done, some better, some do better than others, but we have a few that we grow for seed that have performed really well for us in the extremes we have.
Great.
Related to the kind of again, kind of your, as I think you well described, kind of some of the unique climatic conditions of Potter Valley. Through your website and online orders, do you find, like, have there been other like regions that have kind of do you have noticed, like, that have discovered you, that have been like, okay, this is, I'm not sure where that would be, like the high elevation Colorado or something, like other places that may have short intense seasons? Like, have there been kind of like surprising like orders coming from farther away places than you might expect?
Yeah, we get orders from all over, but there's like Alaska, one, the Rocky Mountain states for sure, the Northern Rockies, across the very north of the Northeast, also the middle North, Wisconsin, Michigan. Also, there are a lot of things that people are being able to grow in, like Arizona, Nevada, areas where it does get really hot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, okay. So I was like, I don't know where he is. Someone commented, Jeff Box commented, saying that his experience is exactly what yours was with the Tennessee heirloom tomato, and he's in the valley that's west of you.
Yes, I know who that is.
Okay. I figured you might.
Yeah, I guess, has there been I mean, you'd mentioned kind of Potter Valley being this traditional seed region. Is there, I mean, is there much other seed growing going on, or is it really kind of you and Soren kind of reviving that tradition?
I think it's us. Yeah. Yeah. As far as commercial seed growing, here we go. Yeah.
Maybe now it'll be the start of a new revival.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate all your work, Gina, and thanks for working with Jared to get the video going and documenting your work. This is fantastic. It'll be, on the YouTube forever. You can share it with other people, and look forward to seeing your seeds out in the world and trialing some of those and some of the work that I've done. And just really grateful to have you.
Great. Well, and thanks to Jared for putting together that presentation. It would not have happened without him. He actually put the whole thing together. Came down to the farm and with his phone camera and we sat down and did it, and then he put all the pictures in and did that. So thanks a lot.
Great. So we will see you guys here tomorrow. For those of you that are watching live, Tuesday, June 7th, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And we'll be wrapping up around the same time, 1:45 Pacific time, with 3 speakers tomorrow. Thank you so much, Gina. Thanks, Jared. And thanks, Abba. And we will see you guys here tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.